In the year 1857, Pamela Lillian Isley was born in Gotham City. Her parents were of French descent, and a few years before her birth, they moved to America. Pamela's father found employment as a factory worker in Gotham City, and they settled there. When Pamela was 3 years old, her parents were tragically murdered by an unknown assailant. Pamela was too young to fully understand, and even into her later years, she barely remembered her parents. Soon after, the Civil War began, but Pamela was shielded from most of it. Because she had no family in Gotham or elsewhere in America, she was brought to St. Caldwell's orphanage. There she was under the care of Sister Leslie Tompkins. Sister Leslie not only ran the orphanage, but also a prestigious school in Gotham. The orphans under her care received the best education alongside children from wealthier families. Even early on, Pamela's performance in school set her apart as superbly intelligent. She loved learning about science and botany, and Sister Leslie even let her take care of numerous plants in St. Caldwell's garden. Pamela befriended Selina Kyle at the orphanage. She was a bit older than Selina, but she watched out for the younger girl. What Pamela never understood was why Selina would spend so much time with Bruce Wayne. The young heir to the Wayne industrial empire was frequently at St. Caldwell's. He attended the school there due to its reputation and his late parents' friendship with Sister Leslie. Pamela was resentful towards Bruce. She'd never known her parents, and he had everything she didn't: money, influence, and freedom. She continued to learn at Sister Leslie's school, and by the time she was 16, in 1873, she set out on her own. Pamela's stellar performance in school had already proven she was above average intelligence. She soon entered into apprenticeship with Baudelaire's apothecary in Gotham. While it was uncommon for girls to receive apprenticeships in anything other than housewifery, Sister Leslie encouraged Pamela to push for more, and even pulled some strings. She was friends with the apothecary's owner, Jason Woodrue. Pamela learned the trade quite intimately, always attentive and always analyzing Woodrue's work with great interest. She was particularly interested in the herbal and plant-based remedies readily available. By default, she began to learn about agrochemical properties, and it furthered her passion for botany. Woodrue was impressed with the young girl's aptitude for the trade, and he began to teach her everything he knew about all of it: the Thomsonian system, eclectic medicine, and many others. When she was old enough, she enrolled at Gotham University. With the recommendations of both Sister Leslie and Jason Woodrue, Pamela managed to get in. She was particularly interested in learning botany, agrochemistry, and their practical uses in the medical field. One of the concepts she learned of, plant perception, caught her attention. Gustav Fechner, a German experimental psychologist, posited in 1848 that plants were capable of feeling emotions. With attention, care, and verbal encouragement, he theorized that plants would flourish. Pamela fell in love with the concept, though her fellow classmates thought it was utter nonsense. While a doctorate was a difficult license to acquire, Pamela used her intelligence and previous education to achieve it. She graduated in 1880 with her doctorate in botany, becoming the first woman in Gotham to obtain it. Her passion was still with plants. She now began to start her own experiments, trying to prove the theories of plant perception. Dr. Isley would often revisit Gotham University's library to read and further her research. In her study of agrochemistry, she met one Jonathan Crane, a young student who was fascinated with the hallucinogenic properties of certain flora. Pamela and Jonathan studied and theorized on many different uses of these plants. While Jonathan was focused on hallucinogens, Pamela took an interest in plants and herbs that had medical application, but could also be deadly. She learned about maythorn extract, which could induce a heart attack in large enough quantities. She learned about laurel bush leaves, which would produce symptoms similar to cyanide. Being a kind soul, she never even dreamed of using that knowledge to harm others, but she learned it nonetheless. This way, she reasoned, she would be able to help anyone who fell ill from such sources. Dr. Isley continued her experiments into plant perception. Jonathan thought it odd, but didn't care. He was focused on research of his own. In 1881, a Dr. Hugo Seltzam came to Gotham, visiting the university. His goal was to obtain research and experimentation methods all over the globe for Wilhelm Wundt, one of the forerunners of psychology in Germany. Seltzam was one of the few in the scientific community who took Pamela and her experiments seriously. He was fascinated by her research into plant perception, and Dr. Isley was grateful that someone was finally taking interest. She shared her theories, notes, and evidence with Hugo Seltzam. Her experiments involved the manipulation and testing of the electric impulses within plants. She was trying to determine if they would behave and act as any animal or human would. Dr. Seltzam took many notes that he brought back to Leipzig, Germany with him. Dr. Pamela Isley continued her research up until 1891, trying and failing to produce the results she desired. She noticed Selina Kyle's return to Gotham, but barely noticed the return of Bruce Wayne. She was engrossed in her experiments. It was her life. Dr. Isley had shared everything with Hugo Seltzam, just as Jason Woodrue had shared everything with her. Little did she know that she would later regret that decision. Little did she know that tragedy was watching her like a hawk, waiting to strike. And she was the prey.